competitors, 150 pounds, as well as 2 great women's matches, 4 incredible women's competitors. And I'm excited to get a little bit of conversation with all these athletes, find out a little bit more about these matchups. And we are going to start with a matchup at 53 kilos. We have Amy Fernside, ranked number 4 in the United States at 50 kilos. She's taking on Tiara EK, ranked number 7 in the United States at 53 kilos. And this is a really exciting matchup. Ladies, how you doing? Tiara, let's start with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing well. Doing really well. And as we go throughout the press conference, if you can hold the mic just a little bit closer, that'd be perfect. And Amy, how are you doing? How was the trip traveling in?
Oh, no, it was great. So we're here. We made it. We're alive. Everything's good.
That's great. You know, these are strange times during this pandemic, and one of the things that's been cool is we've been able to see matches that we wouldn't normally see during a typical year. You guys typically compete at different weight classes, so I'm curious how you're feeling about the matchup in general. Amy, how are you feeling about a match with Tiara, who maybe you wouldn't see typically because she's typically wrestles up at 53 kilos?
I think that this would be a really interesting mix. Our styles are so different. So every time we wrestle, it's always something new. And this is our first official match, so I'm really excited about it.
That's great. And Tiara, how are you feeling? You know, you've seen Amy in the practice room, but this will be, like Amy said, the first time you've competed. How, you know, are there things that you think that her style presents that are going to be interesting in this matchup?
Yeah, it's like when we do wrestle live in the room, it's always like a fun, kind of like a folk style scramble match. We do get in a lot of weird positions, and I think when we actually get out there, it's going to be one of the more fun and exciting events that, you know, I'm participating in, so I'm looking forward to it.
I want to talk a little bit more about the match, but first, I want to catch up on your training situations and what that's been like during this unique time. Tiara, there's a story that you were like stranded in a hotel room, so you had to like clear the beds out of the way and create a training space. What was the situation? What happened with getting trapped?
So the whole reason for us traveling to Guam, it was my whole family. We kind of got split up because of the Guam government quarantine. The reason was our grandparents on my mom's side both passed away from COVID, and you know, as soon as we got to the airport, it was government escort here, sign papers, government escort there, sign more papers, stand in the line, take a bus to the hotel. And it was a tough situation, you know. We had no intention to go out and about, spread any like possible COVID or disease. And so we had to make do with what we had. We had some connections on Guam through my dad. Had some mats brought in, like a 10 by 10. We pushed the beds up against the wall and we, you know, wedged the mat in there just enough. So, you know, it's pretty kind of perfect for that little slab on the mat. You know, my brother, he's fighting, so he was able to get in some training on there with my older sister. I was able to move around on the mat. We had some bands, basic workout equipment, and, you know, the training never really stopped. The circumstances of the whole trip was kind of sad, but, you know, we all have our own responsibilities, and we couldn't just sit around, mope around, and let time get the best of us.
Man, making the most of a really hard situation that's incredible. How long were you there in the hotel?
I'd say maybe like 2 weeks, a little under 2 weeks. We were able to fight the government, get out maybe a few days before the 14-day quarantine ended. Then we were able to finish the quarantine at my grandparents' home, but then there were still some issues, so we never really were able to officially get out of quarantine until 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks.
Man, Amy, what's your training situation been like? I mean, you know, you're based primarily in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center, and I know that there are times when that was shut down, and it was like beg, borrow, and steal equipment from there and do whatever. What was your training situation like?
So our last competition was in Canada for the Pan Am qualifier, and that was where we concluded our qualifying the 6 Olympic weights. And after that, we said, see you in 2 weeks, and it turned into 4 months. And we all went home, and I was on the family farm in Oregon, which my parents had just moved to a couple of years ago. And I was we didn't have a mat, but we had some big heavy equipment. So whatever was available, whatever was heavy and dense, that became dumbbells, and that became like just some really weird creative ways to lift and to be running, and you know, we had tractor tires, and we just used whatever we had, and it was the most creative training I've ever had. And I come back to I kind of forced it a little early, but I came back to to Colorado Springs before the OTC had officially opened. And they never like fully closed, but it was very internalized, where if you were an on-site athlete, you were in a bubble, and the off-site athletes do not mix. But there came a point where I was offered to be part of the piloting program, so I'd be the first to go in to go train with Jakara and on the inside. And that hopefully was supposed to facilitate a speedier re-entry into mixing the on-site and off-site residents together, so we'd have more training partners. Then, you know, Code Red happened, and we started to separate on-site and off-site athletes, and the only way to train was for everyone to get off-site for the time being until things clear up a little more. So we never stopped training, but it's been really hectic finding a place, and I know that to keep wind in your sails, we had to be very motivated and very adaptive, very versatile, and work as a team, as a group, more than we've ever had to ever. So this is, I think we've produced the most resilient athletes we have ever seen, and this Olympic team is going to be crazy.
That's awesome. And, you know, the resilience, I mean, it seemed to show at senior nationals. You made it to the finals. And not only that, but you had maybe one of the bigger domestic wins of your career when you beat Alyssa Lampy. She's a couple-time world medalist. And, you know, really impressive win. How do you feel like that performance and just your preparation during the last few months prepares you for this match tomorrow?
Oh, well, it definitely is a really great measuring stick. I think it's a mile marker for me, but it's only the first of many. And just chipping away and just knowing that all the things that we did all the training, all the hill sprints, all the things that no one saw, it really adds up and amounts to something later. And so you reap the benefits later when you're just patient and know that gratification will come in the later rounds. So my persistence to continue has only ramped up, and I think that this is a perfect matchup with my friend Tiare, and it's going to be really good because we want to make sure that at least we get one competition in and done before the Olympic trials. And granted, we're different weight classes. This is still very good to make sure that we're keeping on track for our end goal.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, Tiara, you're no stranger to success yourself. You've had really high-level senior level wins. You beat Catherine Schei in 2019, and this year you just came off a title at Junior Nationals. How are you feeling about your preparation and just the success that you've had recently, and maybe what that means for a match tomorrow with Amy?
Leading up to, Junior Nationals, U23 Nationals, I feel like I've made, small adjustments that led to big steps. And I felt it, in my preparation, little things like in the warm-up, mental aspect, finding a focal point really to tune into the competition and get me amped up. And I've had bad habits and where I have a roller coaster of, I have a loss and I just shoot down, and then it's hard to build back up. So that's something I've been working on. But this match with Amy is going to be fun. It's another one of those things where I'm going to apply the things I'm learning, another area to grow in, and, I'm super excited.
That's great. All right, last question. This is for both of you. You're familiar with each other in a practice room setting. You guys have benefited from training together. Now it's time to throw it on the line in a match, in a competition format. How do you approach something like that, a competitive match with somebody that you know really well? Tiara, we'll start with you.
We do know, some of each other's main moves. We know how each other's feels. But, I know Amy has advanced in our time apart. Corona, everybody's doing their own thing to grow. So, and our time together has been a little short, just because when she went to the OTC, she was isolated. She was an on-site athlete, I was off-site, so I don't really know. She could throw something new out there, and that's the part of it that's also like the surprising factor. I can't really say anything specifically about her that I'm expecting. It's just a fun match, kind of flow with each other.
That's great. Amy, what do you think? Familiar practice partner, first time competing, how are you going to approach?
Well, I've been thinking about this a bit, actually. Definitely, I think, especially her being my friend, we've been together for years, and her dad's here, and I think he's just, their whole family is awesome. So here's the thing, having like a connection with someone you're competing against, there has to be some level of, yes, we're friends, and the most that I could do to show you respect is to do my very best. And even like wrestling is a tough sport, and I've come to terms with it that there's no easy way to wrestle. Wrestling's tough no matter what, and when you're wrestling your friends and you can kill each other on the mat and then take each other shopping right after. That's kind of a cool thing that our sport has that most others don't, and especially combat sport. So it's all out of love, honestly. It's going to be intense, though.
Well, that's great. I'm looking forward to it. Showing the ultimate respect by competing as hard as possible. It's going to be a great match, and one that I'm really looking forward to. So thank you both for being here, and can't wait for the match tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, so we are going to transition to our next matchup, and this is a matchup that's going to be contested at 53.5 kilos between two competitors that have a little bit of history but who haven't competed recently. And like our last matchup, these two women would not probably be competing against each other this year if not for the unusual circumstances presented by COVID-19. And so we've got really exciting matchup, Lauren Louise and Jakara Winchester. And yeah, feel free to grab these microphones. We'll hold them about this far away, and we'll get into it. So how are you guys doing? Lauren, you were down here not recently. How's it going this time?
Yeah, it's going good. Glad to be back.
Awesome. Glad to have you. And Jakara, how are you doing? First competition back in a while.
I know. I'm super excited. I'm doing well.
That's great. So this is a match that we've seen. You guys have competed, a while ago, a couple years ago, but we haven't seen this one in a while because, Jakara, you've been down, Lauren, you've been up. So how are you guys feeling about a matchup where you're somewhat familiar, but you've been competing at different weight classes? Lauren, let's start with you.
I'm excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and we both train at the OTC and stuff, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun and a different matchup than it was whenever that match was. I think it was Schultz is when it was.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. Great.
So.
What do you think, Jakara?
I'm excited just because I feel like Lauren's my practice partner in practice, and I feel like it's kind of harder to wrestle your practice partner, because they know what you're going to do, so you have to execute that much better. And like I said, she's my practice partner. She knows all my moves, so I think it's going to be really exciting. I'm going to throw the whole kitchen sink at her.
I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I love to hear that the kitchen sink is coming. That's great. This is warning, right? But I mean, yeah, to that point, right? Not only are you guys practice partners, it seems like you're close. You have a close friendship. We've seen in costume choreographed videos, right, between you guys. What is it like to wrestle somebody that you have not only a practice partner relationship, but it seems like a genuine friendship? Jakara, what's that like?
It's fun because you know that you're gonna get good competition. We're friends off the mat, but then when we get on mat, we're gonna kill each other. I mean, I try to do as much as I can, and just the friendship really doesn't get in the way. But the fact that we have that much respect for each other means that we're gonna give each other everything.
That's great. And Lauren, what's your approach?
I definitely agree with that. And I think wrestling your friends is it is the way to go, because you know that you're like Jakara just said, you're doing yourself and your friend a disjustice if you don't go all out, if you don't give them everything that you've got and that you've trained for, and you're doing yourself a disjustice. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's great. So, one difference between the last time you guys competed is that since then, Jakara, you've gone down, you've competed at 53 kilos, and that's the goal. And Lauren, you're going to be 57 kilos competing at the Olympic trials. So there's now, I think, a size difference that wasn't maybe as pronounced the last time you guys met. Is that, Lauren, something that, a strength advantage that you think you can capitalize on this matchup?
I don't know. We're weighing in at the same, I'm sure. Even though she's, going to 53. If I can use it, I will, but
Yeah. What would you say, Jakara? Have you had to, I know when you're, when you're working your way down to a lower weight class, you probably shrink your body in ways that are a little bit different. Do you feel different competing down at, having trained to compete down at 53 than you did maybe last time you guys wrestled?
Lauren is strong as fuck. So with that being said,
so is she.
I'm strong too, so we wrestle each other at practice, even though it's like size difference anyway. So, it does suck because I am smaller, but I'm taller than her. So technically we meet at the same, so we'll be good.
Gotcha. Were you gonna say something
I was just going to say, don't let her fool you. She is strong.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen those one-arm pull-up video that she was doing.
I did see that. If you watch that video, just stop halfway through.
Yeah. You don't have
watch
to
the
finish
whole.
the rest
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Don't watch the whole video. Jakara, the last time I think we talked to you, you were not only living on campus at the OTC in the dorm room, but you were doing a lot of your training out of there, right? Because everything was shut down. How has your training changed now that things are starting to open back up? Now that you have access to a little bit more facilities, how are you feeling about your preparation?
Actually, at the training center, they shut down again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that we're back to the quarantine kind of mode. They did it as a precautionary thingy. So, but I'm still training out of my room again. Actually moved off campus, and before, Lauren and I were going to college fields and stuff like that, doing training like that. So I get my training in as I can, and that's pretty much it. Back to square one.
Man, that is crazy. This has been such a bizarre year. Okay, last thing. You guys are such familiar opponents. Lauren, is there anything that you're feeling like gives you confidence heading into this matchup that you're like, all right, this is something that I know I can kind of hang my hat on as an advantage, or as something that I'm gonna capitalize on wrestling Jakara?
Well, I know I have a gas tank, and I know I can wrestle for 30 minutes, right? Or even long. I can wrestle for 3 days straight. I can just go and go and go. And I know that I have that. I only have 6 minutes to wrestle, right, though. So I need to keep that high pace in that 6 minutes, and I know I can go hard for the full 6 minutes for sure. So using my gas tank to my advantage and not just cruising. So
high pace, gas tank, love to hear that. That's exciting. Sounds like a lot of points on the board. Jakara, how are you approaching this match with a familiar opponent in Lauren?
I just tell myself, just go. I know what I need to do. I know how to wrestle, and just do it.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. It's going to be fun. We haven't seen you guys compete in a while, and this is a match that we probably wouldn't get to see if not for this strange year. You guys would be at different weight classes, so I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. One last thing before we go. Do you guys have a prediction for who comes out in the 158 man? Do you have a prediction for who wins the thing? What do you think, Jakara?
Yeah, Jakara, what do you think?
It's just between the three of us. It's just between the three of us.
Yeah, okay.
But they can.
I know. That's what I was gonna say too. I say Jo will win.
All right, you got Jordan.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. What do you think, Lauren?
I think Jo or Bajrang.
You're trying to get us beat up,
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, that's right. Bajrang,
they're gonna jump us as soon as we walk back there.
You won't know. They're not paying attention. Don't worry about it. Well, man, that would be an exciting final. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you guys very much. Excited to see you compete tomorrow, and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so we are going to move on, and we're going to bring on our competitors who are going to be wrestling in the first round of this bracket. And So we'll have 4 more interviews. And the first one, we've got Pat Lugo. He's going to be wrestling Bajrang Punia. Bajrang not here yet, so it's just Lugo. We're gonna get your inside perspective, Pat. And so yeah, go ahead, grab the mic. And about this distance from the mouth makes it work real well. So how are you doing, Pat? How's it been going the last few months?
It's been going good, man. It's been training at the Carver, Iowa City. It's been going good. And that's pretty much it, yeah.
What's your transition been like? You were the #1 seed at NCAAs, totally focused on the goal of being NCAA champion, and then all of a sudden the rug's pulled out from under you, and you had to make a pretty quick transition from a folk style focus to a freestyle focus. What's that transition been like for you?
I think it's been a pretty good transition. I mean, I wrestled freestyle when I was younger, so I was kind of used to it already. Not being able to wrestle at nationals sucked, but it is what it is. Just use it as extra motivation to get the next goal, and that is the Olympic title and world title. So yeah, it's been pretty good.
You've had a couple freestyle matches over the course of this year. Most recently, you beat Matt Kolodzik, which is a really solid win, and then before that you beat Luke Pletcher. What have you taken from those freestyle competitions? How have those felt compared to folk style? And how have those, not just the training but those matches specifically, prepared you for this tournament?
I think it's a big difference, freestyle and folk style. Obviously, I think when I'm wrestling freestyle, I'm more free. That makes sense. I don't know. I just feel like I'm more relaxed, more loose, I'm not really nervous. But yeah, it's been good. Those 2 matches I had against Pletcher and Kolodzik, it was really built my confidence for sure. And then I haven't wrestled a guy like Bajrang, obviously because overseas. I've never been overseas, but yeah, I'm really excited for the match, and I'm ready to go.
I mean, that's a great point, right? You haven't had the opportunity yet to go overseas. I mean, nobody has this year, right? It's been a bizarre year, in a regular year, maybe you would have been overseas, but this is an opportunity to get a guy who's been ranked #1 in the world right here in the U.S. How are you feeling about a match with Bajrang? Not just because he's an international competitor, but just because of who he is and the kind of things that he brings to the table.
I mean, honestly, I don't really care who he is. I could be wrestling him or some guy some guy I practice with every day. It's the same mentality for me every match, every opponent. But it's definitely something to wake up for and stuff. So yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Go out there and wrestle the best I can wrestle and make it a war. That's what I need to do.
Yeah, for sure. And how familiar are you with Bajrang? I know you said it doesn't matter who the opponent is, I'm going to approach it the same way, but how familiar are you with his style, the things that the kind of the weapons that he has? Is that something you've paid a lot of attention to?
Not really. I don't really watch that much film. I mean, I just watch couple things here and there, but I don't really get stuck up on that because I don't want that to change my wrestling. And I'm not gonna try to wrestle his style. I'm gonna wrestle my style that I'm best at, and I'm not really familiar with it, but he's not probably familiar with me either, so it is what it is.
Yeah. Is there one thing that you think that you can capitalize on related to him, or just something about your style that you think gives you a strong advantage or gives you an opportunity to maybe win this whole tournament?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't really watch that much film. I'm just gonna go out there, bang with him, make it a war, and score points. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm sure if you were picking how this bracket was going to go, you would run through the finals. But looking at the bottom side of the bracket, is there anybody that you think maybe comes out of that half that you wouldn't be surprised to see in the finals?
I wouldn't be surprised to see.
Yeah. Who do you think maybe makes it out of the bottom?
Probably J.O. Yeah, probably him. He's probably the most experienced guy out there besides Bajrang. So yeah.
Awesome. And I mean, other than, I think you've wrestled Astronaut maybe in college. Have you wrestled any other guys in a match yet?
In the bracket?
Yeah.
No, just Astronaut. I wrestled, yeah, I guess, like you said, in college, but no. Oh yeah, I wrestled Henderson. And when
Okay.
I wrestled him like a long time ago. I was a freshman. I think he was like a senior or something like that.
Okay. Well, good, man. Well, Pat, super excited that you're here. Man, can't wait to see the match with Bajrang and the rest of the tournament after that. And, man, you got any final words before I let you go?
No, I'm good.
All right, Pat. Well, hey, thanks for being here, and really excited to see that first match. Pat Lugo is going to be taking on Bajrang Punia, first match of the tournament, and really, what a way to kick off the bracket. So just to kind of run through the format, we'll have our quarterfinal matches followed by our first women's match, which is Tiara Ike taking on Amy Fernside. Then we'll have our semifinals matches followed by our second women's match. That is going to be Jakara Winchester and Lauren Louise. And so we've got our next two competitors here on the couch. And our second match in the tournament, our second quarterfinal, is Anthony Ashnault, and he's taking on Evan Henderson. Guys, how you doing? Evan, start with you.
I'm doing great. It's awesome to be back down in Texas here in Austin. Seems like yesterday I was down here for the other card. So.
Awesome, man. Well, glad to have you back. And Anthony, how are you doing? How's it been getting down here?
Yeah, it's been good. We left a day earlier than was scheduled because there's a huge snowstorm. I'm thinking you guys got hit with the same thing. So Jersey got hit kind of bad. So we left a day early, but smooth flight yesterday. Kind of just been relaxing, and it's been good.
Man, you guys have both, I think, really been on upward trajectories and shown a lot of improvement in your senior level of progress. I mean, Anthony, the last time we saw you in international competition was at Pan Am's, where you won at 70 kilos. How are you feeling about the progress you've made since transitioning from an NCAA focus to freestyle exclusively?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a much better wrestler than I was when I won the NCAA title in March of 19. And much better wrestler than when I went to Ottawa, Canada, and won the Pan Ams. I've dealt with some ups and downs even since those times, but I feel like, just like life and outside of wrestling, when you deal with the adverse situation, if you overcome it and you rise to the occasion, usually you benefit from it and excel and get even better. So that's what I feel like. I feel like I got over a bunch of hurdles, and I feel better than ever, and I'm excited to just compete again, and I'm excited to compete against the best guys, and it should be a really fun first matchup with Evan, and I'm looking forward to it.
Man, that's awesome. And Evan, obviously we've seen improvement from you. I mean, just really strong performances from you for a long time. But recently, right, finals at Senior Nationals, saw you beat Echemendia down here recently. And one thing that's changed for you is your location, right? You're at Cornell. Yep. You talked about Mike Gray has kind of helped, and the whole staff has helped you kind of unlock some elements of your game that maybe you hadn't previously. How would you describe the improvement that you've seen and how you're feeling about your progress, and then this, heading into this match specifically?
I mean, think about improvements and stuff like that. I just think it's about who's around you and who's helping you out, and like being around some really, really good guys in the room is doing wonders for me, and like Mike's like, you know how to wrestle, go do it, muddy the waters up. And that's what I think you guys said, and that's kind of my MO now. It's just muddy the waters up, you know how to wrestle, just don't get the doors blown off and you'll be fine. You know how to win a lot of different little positions. It's like I've had a lot of wrestling. I think over the past year and a half, I've had a lot of competitions. I think probably more so than a lot of the guys in the bracket. Maybe the only other guy that's wrestled probably more than me is Bajrang. So, but he's wrestling for India, and he gets all that travel experience versus us. We have to go over there. So.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, and it's a really great approach, really interesting approach. And, you guys have a little bit of history. I think it was like way back in 2015. You guys had a match in college. Mm-hmm. Probably a lot's changed since then, right? But I'm curious, what you take from that match, if anything. Anthony got the win there. Evan, anything that you take from that 2015 match?
Not really, to be honest with you. It's kind of like that different time, It's like he was red hot. I mean, I was a senior in college, supposed to do good things, and then just kind of fell off there. But that is what it is. I mean, I kind of look at the bracket. The only one that hasn't beaten me in this bracket is Bryce. Everybody, even Green, has a win over me in high school. So like everybody
Really?
in this bracket, yeah, is was NHSCA's. I don't know what year, it was sophomore nationals or something like that. He beat the crap out of me, you know. So I'm like, what? I mean, looking at this, it's like, let's go do it, you know, have fun with it. It's not a big deal. I mean, yeah, it is for $25,000, but let's go get it.
For sure. You know, anything you take from that matchup, Anthony, or anything about Evan's style that you're thinking about or preparing for the match tomorrow?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, and I don't even remember how I wrestled then. Like,
Kicked my
obviously it was natural, and it's similar tactics and similar attacks that we're both hitting during that time, or 5-6 years ago. But I think we're both much different and much better wrestlers than that time. So he kind of said it best. It's like something you maybe think about, but more just use it as fuel, you know. Use it as a memory just to get better for the future. But I'm not really looking at that match. I'm definitely not looking at that match and being like, well, that worked on him, and let me try to do that again. Nah, like, I'm not really taking that match too seriously. He's had a lot of recent competition, and we're just kind of looking forward to wrestling the best guys, like I already said, but more for him specifically, just kind of looking at more recent stuff. And he's had a lot of success recently, and we're looking at that stuff more than going back to freshman year or his senior year. And you know, during that time, I don't want to bring up bad times for him, but he like went back up to 49 right after that match. He was kind of like I don't think he was where he wanted to be mentally, maybe, or physically for the season at that time frame, and definitely not taking that match seriously at all.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting point, right? And talking about being where you want to be mentally. And when I talk with both of you guys, I feel like you're two guys I talk to, and I just like sense extreme confidence from both guys. And I got to wonder, like, what is it like sitting across the room from somebody else who seems also extremely confident, right? I mean, Evan, you're very confident. This guy's very confident. What would you say to a competitor who's like really confident, but you know,
Let's put up points.
Yeah.
Let's make it fun, you know. I don't want a 1-1 match. I don't want a 1-0 match. Let's let it go, you know. Let's see what happens, you know, because you know, I mean, I think you're in shape. I'm in shape. You know, it's gonna be a battle. Let's put on a show for these guys, you know, and then we'll see what happens. You know, that's all I gotta say. You know,
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah. You know, and I mean, same question to you, Anthony, right? You got another guy sitting across here, super confident. What would you say?
For me, man, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking, let's not be tentative. I'm in great shape. I trained as good as I could train. This is the best I felt. This is the best I've been in a routine of training and recovering and eating and just my nutrition in general. And with that, I'm just reminding myself, let's have a fast start because you're in shape. You could wrestle hard for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 2 matches in a row if you want. So it's really, for me, just focusing on that start and getting going and scoring a lot of points and keeping that foot on the gas pedal the whole time.
Thinking about the confidence you guys both have, is there something that you know that gives you confidence about this match in particular? Is there something about your opponent that you know you can exploit, or something about yourself that you know you can take advantage of to win this match? Anthony, is there something that gives you the confidence to know I'm going to win this first round match?
Yeah, of course. I think that's with any match. A high level athlete in general goes into competition. You need to feel that way. You need to feel like you have some type of advantage. And I don't want to share like my game plan, but of course, like I feel confident and I feel like there's a lot of areas that I'm really good in, or maybe better than my opponents in, and that goes for all the other 6 other athletes in the bracket as well. There's areas that I feel I could win, and if not every position, there's definitely positions that I feel like I'm better at. So I'm very confident in that, and I have a great game plan, and I'm looking forward to implementing it.
All right, what do you think, Evan?
The other thing I really think is probably with your, it's not a bad thing, was your lack of freestyle experience. Like maybe not you've wrestled a lot in the practice room, but you haven't had a lot of competitions underneath your belt. Obviously, you have Pan Am win, you have your trials wins and stuff like that, but like as far as getting outside and going and seeing like Europeans and stuff like that, not yet anyway. You know, you probably gotta still do this for, I don't know, umpteen amount of years, and you gotta get your experience, but like I'd say I have a little bit more in that area, as in, yeah, I've been on, like somebody put it up on Instagram or something. Like I've been in the streets. It's like I've had out of the American competitors here, I've had probably the most tournaments out of any of them. So
yeah, I'd agree with that. But that's kind of what's fueling me for this tournament. Like I'm getting an opportunity to wrestle in America domestically against the kind of competition sometimes you got to travel overseas against to get. So for me, like this is a huge opportunity to prove myself because of that, and it kind of fuels me going into this competition for sure.
Man, that's awesome. All right, last question for you guys. I'm sure both of you, would pick yourself into the finals, right? Bottom side of the bracket, who's coming out? What do you think, Anthony?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I think everyone's super talented in this bracket. Yeah, I don't know. I think it could be any one of those guys. So I'm just focused on my first round match and getting the momentum rolling and going from there. Whatever happens, whoever's in front of me after that is in front of me. I'm trying not to pick the names, just going out there and wrestling my best. And I know if I go out there and give my full effort, I'm gonna be happy no matter what the outcome, win, lose, or draw. So I'm just looking forward to getting my foot on the line and going 110% the whole time.
Okay, Evan, you think you know who's coming out of the bottom?
I'm gonna say Jo. I just think he's been at the weight before, and how he competes. Green, we got to see how he competes at 50 at the RTC Cup, which isn't necessarily bad, but maybe he's probably he's had a little bit more time to adjust to the weight, which makes it interesting. But I know Green has a win over Jo and stuff like that, or a couple wins over Jo, but I'm gonna, so to say, picking the underdog, I'd say, but he's not really. I'm picking Jo to come out.
All right. Well, I can't wait to find out, and I can't wait for this matchup between our 4 and 5 seeds, Anthony Ashnall, Evan Henderson. It's going to be awesome. And, guys, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
For sure. Alec Pantaleo. Pantaleo, as you know, was a late addition to the bracket. Joey McKenna was out with injury. Alec Pantaleo slid in, and Jordan Oliver is going to be his first round opponent. So really excited for this matchup. And guys, hey, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. Awesome to see you guys. And, really interesting matchup. We've been maybe wouldn't see if not for this kind of strange pandemic year, right? And Jordan, typically you compete at 65 kilos. Alec, 70 kilos, kind of the weight for you. How do you guys feel about the opportunity to wrestle somebody that maybe you wouldn't see very often otherwise? Alec, let's start with you.
Jordan, I think if I saw you at the OTC, we'd probably be practicing a little bit. Competition, yeah, it's different, but I mean, it's just another opportunity. Jordan's one of the best at his craft in the nation, and it's just a test for us to get better, both of us.
Great, Jordan. What do you think?
I agree. You always want to push yourself, wrestle new competition, especially guys you've never wrestled before, and bring different aspects to the game. Alex, very explosive, very good wrestler, very knowledgeable. So I don't know if he's coming down to 65. But obviously it looks like he may be, so it speaks a lot of his character. But who knows, the matches never happened previous years, and it lets us both get on the mat and get to put it on the line and have fun.
Yeah, you mentioned it's a match that's never happened, and it's because of the weight class, right? Weight is a big question for this event, not just because 150 is a weight right between 65 and 70 kilos, but also because this is such a weird year where people haven't had to weigh in nearly as often as usual. Alec, you had the opportunity to weigh in at a weight that was very close to this just a couple weeks ago. How are you feeling about the 150 weight, and do you feel like that, being probably the bigger athlete gives you an advantage in the match with Jordan?
I wouldn't be surprised if we weigh the same right now. Again, I'm not that far over 150. Going down to 65 is a little bit different because you have to make that weight twice, and it's scratch, right? So, and I'm still pretty early on in my career. I plan to just keep growing, and I want to run my body down too much. So 65 we are debating on. But as far as 150, I think it's a great weight for both of us. We probably walk around 160, I'm assuming, So it's no big deal. I mean, I feel good. I'm assuming he feels pretty good. We're all good.
You know, Jordan, one of the stories with you has been like when your weight is locked in, you're as good as could be. When it's not, that can be a challenge. How are you feeling about this weight class and you know, getting down there and wrestling a guy like Alec, who's, you know, typically competes a little bit bigger?
I feel good. You know, I'm used to making 143. You know, and the goal for this year is 143, right? The end goal is 65 kilogram Olympic champ. I'm looking towards April. We've got to make 65 there. But this is just another test for me to, you know, wrestle and not so much. There's not too much emphasis on it, but there is emphasis on it, right? You get to compete against a great athlete like Alec. Like I said, who just brings different things to the table and very explosive wrestler. So I think, you know, for me, it's a new style that I have to approach, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with our match. You know, and I always feel good. I make sure, you know, we've had time to adjust, and you know, I wrestled Nolf a little bit ago, and we did no weigh-in, and I was pretty thick back then.
How thick?
Let's just say I was like 173. You know, I was on a heavy lifting cycle, but I wasn't really wrestling, so. You know, getting to dial in and getting focused for a 150-pound bracket, it's more realistic for me. And, you know, like we said, we're starting to prepare for April and get in a room and prove in all aspects of, you know, what we need to do to, you know, put ourselves in position to win an Olympic gold.
You know, you talked about that Olympic gold. 65 kilos is one of those weights where, you know, it's just so many tough guys, right? And over the years, it's been neck and neck with all those guys. But last year, you had so much momentum coming off Bill Farrell and senior nationals, and you looked like you were, you know, on such a hot streak. And some people said, man, Olympics being pushed back a year, that might hurt Jordan more than it hurts anybody else. How do you feel about people that would say that, and how do you feel about your progress now towards that same goal a year later? If you could pull the mic just a little closer.
You know, I think everybody has an opinion. Right. For me, it just gives me another year to sharpen the sword. Yes, I was on a hot streak, but you know, that was last year, right? We got to take what we can from that and keep improving, but also we can't live in that today, right? That's the past. Every day is a new day, right? So I want to keep improving. I want to keep getting better, but a year off necessarily isn't going to hurt me. It's only getting me better in my positions and, you know, everything I need to do to accomplish the ultimate goal.
Awesome. Alec, Jordan's been, you know, last year a front runner, one of the front runners at 65 kilos. You just competed against a bunch of really tough guys that are also 65 kilo wrestlers. You were undefeated last weekend or 2 weekends ago at RTC Cup. What would a win over Jordan Oliver mean in terms of your trajectory and where you're headed in your career?
Right. It's like I said earlier, you know, I grew up watching Jordan wrestle on the TV. You know, like I knew one day if I keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I'll be wrestling against these guys. If I keep doing what I'm doing well, I'm going to be beating these guys. Right? So, again, it's at the end of the day, whoever wins this tournament tomorrow is going to be the best man wrestling that day. But I see myself keep getting better exponentially every single year. Right? So anything that happens tomorrow, I won't be surprised by. It'll just give me a gauge of where I'm going. If I'm doing correctly, right? So,
having watched Jordan, having, you know, been familiar with his style, what he brings to the table, is there something, you know, in your approach to this match that gives you confidence that you're going to come out with your hand raised at the end of the match?
Well, if anything, we're going to have fun wrestling. You know, Jordan. Again, it's not every day you get to wrestle someone that's as athletic as you, and wants to win as much as you want to. So, if anything, it's going to be definitely a test of our wits, and I'm excited for that. And again, you know, I heard Ashnall talking. If you wrestle as hard as you can for those 6 minutes, and that's all you can do, then you can't be upset with whatever happens. So that's my plan. I'm assuming that's everyone else's plan here. So I'm just excited for the test.
That's great. And Jordan, is there something when you think about competing with Alec that gives you confidence? Something that in your approach that, you know, that gives you confidence you're going to get your hand raised at the end?
I think you always have confidence in yourself, but I mean, just approaching a match against Alec and seeing the wrestler he is and his capabilities, you know, it's exciting. You know, as a competitor, it's exciting knowing he's going to come out and, you know, he's going to attack and give you everything you got for 6 minutes. It's awesome wrestling another ultimate competitor, right? So I'm excited just to get out there, let things fly, and have fun on the mat. And like I said, you know, you always got to have confidence in yourself, win, lose, draw. But you always go in with confidence and you know, never doubting yourself.
Man, hearing that you're excited and confident makes me excited. One last thing before I let you guys go. I'm sure you would both pick yourselves to the finals, but somebody's going to come out of that top side, and I'm curious who you think it might be that's going to come out of the top side of the bracket, and if there's anybody that you would particularly want to see in the finals. Alec, let's start with you.
Right. It's like I said, the best wrestler tomorrow is going to come out on the top. You know, I've been wrestling Bajrang this past week. He's tough as nails. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the finals.
Jordan, what do you think?
You know, I hate to pick people just because in our sport anything can happen, right? Any given day, and who comes to show up, right? And you got 4 tough guys on the top side, but Henderson, Bajrang, Lugo, and Ashland, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if any of those guys come out. Like I said, it's wrestling. Anybody can win any given day. But I know whoever comes out, it's going to be a great competition. Whoever, you know, everybody wants to lean towards Bajrang, but I would never sleep on Lugo. You know, Ashland's up there. So I'm not going to pick. I hope I'm in the finals.
All right. Well, hey, I can't wait. This first round matchup is going to be incredible. The whole tournament's going to be insane. And guys, thanks for being here, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow. I can't wait.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Appreciate you having me.
All right, so that's going to take us to our last matchup of the quarterfinals, first round match. This one's between the 2 seed James Green and the 7 seed Bryce Meredith. And man, what a clash of styles and a clash of weight classes. Think about college, right? NCAAs. James Green competed up at 157, Bryce Meredith down at 141, and now here they are meeting in the middle at 150 pounds in the last match of the first round. James, Bryce, how are you guys doing?
Living the dream, man. We got Skinny James versus Thickish Bryce, and gonna put on a show.
It is kind of a dream. How are you doing, James?
I'm good, man. Like you said, we are living the dream, especially in these times. To be able to come out here and wrestle and get another opportunity to get quality opponents and, you know, hopefully some cash at the end of the night.
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, Bryce said Skinny James. I've seen that floating around on Twitter. I like it. Skinny James is that's a good nickname. It sounds like, I don't know, like a saxophone player or something maybe. But to the point, right, how is the weight been, and specifically after having made right around 150 at RTC Cup, how are you feeling about your descent this time?
So it's kind of the same, right? Because one, I wrestled 154. I think people are thinking about the weight cut for 65 kilos, which is 143. So to make 150 is really not that much of a difference, and we're on a 3-hour weigh-in, so I almost feel better, you know, making the weight. And then yeah, I'm kind of committed to the lifestyle, so it's been real easy. I'm having fun, and I think with the RTC Cup and then coming here, it's obviously even easier. I haven't really blew up or anything like that, so yeah, just gonna do what I do, make weight and wrestle, have some fun.
That's awesome. And Bryce, I mean, how are you feeling about the weight? You said thick-ish. Bryce, you don't get too thick. But I mean, 150. How close is that to what you walk around at, and how are you feeling about competing at this weight?
Yeah, I mean, kind of what he was saying, and I mean, I said that in the podcast or whatever too. It's like 150 is not 143, and it's also not that big either, right? So it's just kind of that middle weight, especially, you know, with us during COVID. It's kind of just fitting, you know, everybody meet at 150, you know. So I think it works for everybody. For me, you know, just trying to eat good, trying to lift some weights, and that thickish Bryce isn't really all that thick, but you know, we get up to that 54, 55. I'm feeling yoked up, so we're ready to let it fly on that one.
That's awesome. Hey, you said something. You mentioned you're on the Bader show recently, and you said something on there I don't think a lot of people understood. You said this tournament, you compared it to like rodeo, right? And we've lived in Wyoming. A lot of people that haven't lived in Wyoming or, you know, lived in rodeo country don't understand like what that means, and you know, embracing the challenge like those dudes that go ride the bulls do. When you said that this tournament is like a rodeo, what did you mean?
Yeah, I mean, James is doing it. He says lace man gets paid, right? So that means he's got to be getting to his laces and his doubles to get paid. Same for me, right? I got to get to my moves. I got to be getting to my takedowns to get paid. If you don't do it, you don't get paid, right? So that's kind of what I was saying in rodeo lifestyle. It's rodeo lifestyle. You got to pop up at a new place. You don't ride for 8 seconds. See you later. You're making no money. But for us, it's, we have a chance to make $25,000 in a tournament, and every single match is a lot of money difference, right? If not, you're not walking out of here with very much money, especially after taxes and everything else. So the goal is to not walk away with $1,000. We're trying to get a nice Christmas. We're trying to have a nice little time off after this. So trying to get that bag secured for sure.
Awesome, man. And, speaking of the money, I mean, James, you already calculated the taxes. You calculated the travel expenses for your family. How important is that? Obviously, you want to win the money, but just money being now maybe a part of the sport in a way that it wasn't previously. How important is that? And, does that matter to you? Is that something that is motivating to you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. We're in a sport where I'm providing for my family whether I win or lose. So obviously, like he said, each match counts. And now I'm at this place in my life where, yes, I have a wife, yes, I have a daughter. So it's literally putting food on my family's table. Or I'm not putting food on my family's table. So
I'll send your daughter some
food. So either she's eating or we're all eating. I don't know, but it's really important. And at the same time, with the backing and the support from Tight Mercury and Virginia Tech, SCRTC, it's a little bit less important as far as it's a bonus, but I know that they also have my back. So on that same table, I just know I it's another chance for me to improve, get to try new things, try and get a feel for these guys, my opponents, and work towards my legacy in the sport of wrestling.
This is a matchup that we wouldn't see, right, if not for an event like this, if not for a year like this. And so I'm curious if you guys have had much opportunity to prepare for one another, to think about what each guy brings to the table. Bryce, you're known for not only attacking but scrambling, mixing things up in those ways. Are there things about James that you think you can capitalize on to win this match?
I mean, kind of like what James was saying, right? He's trying to build a legacy and continue his legacy. I mean, he's a 2-time world medalist, and for me to have an opportunity to wrestle a 2-time world medalist, 5-time world team member, right? That doesn't happen very often. So it's, some people, which, I mean, I respect where they're coming from or whatever, but a giant's only a giant until he gets slayed, right? And then we're all at the same level. So for me, it's, I feel like I've been kind of at the second tier or whatever in the freestyle world, and I'm ready to capitalize and try to put myself up in there, beat a world medalist, kind of say, I am this good at freestyle. And ultimately, that's hopefully what we get to do in this match. And, like I said, a lot of tournaments I look forward, or you'll start looking forward into the bracket, but this would be the worst bracket to ever do that in, right? You got some crazy good guys in your first matches. So, for me, there's obviously, right? James he has incredible doubles and reattacks. He's good at his lace man. So, you just got to avoid those things. And then hopefully, in my style of wrestling, you put him in a match that, 4 or 5 minutes in, he's like, crap, I'm in more of a match than I wanted to be in, or in a different situation than we are. So, that's ultimately my goal in every match, especially against somebody that's, as good as James.
Yeah, and James, knowing what you bring to the table, knowing what Bryce brings to the table, are there things that you're thinking about in preparation for Bryce specifically?
I know Bryce is, he has a unique style, and I like it. I look forward to it. I want to get, like he said, if I find myself where I'm in a match and I'm thinking it's going to be a tough match, that's what I'm looking for, right? That's what I like about the sport, right? Everyone wants to go out there, do the 10-0. But I like to be in the dog fights, right? I like to test myself, push myself to those limits of whether if I find myself down or up by one, knowing that I can go get another takedown. So I'm looking for a challenge in the first match and in all these matches. And that's pretty much it, really. Whether we're scrambling, if we're not, I'm looking forward to just a challenge.
One of the things that's been really unique about this year is that everything got pushed back, so it kind of changed the way people were thinking about their plans or life trajectory, right? James, you were going to compete at the 2020 Olympic trials at 74 kilos.
Right.
Now you're talking 2021 Olympic trials, 65 kilos. How did that kind of change of plans come to be, and how does this event fit into that change of plans?
I'm glad you bring that up because it just makes me think about I've been watching as we get, Ashnault talking about me being scared of 74. So we're about a year out right now from me wrestling at the Alliance at 74 plus 2 kilos. So 76 kilo, which is 168. And at that time, I was definitely committed. I was lifting, bulking up. I was ready to go. Felt great. Posting pictures. Quarantine and COVID happened. And in this sport where we, are competing twice a month or whatever, and you're constantly in training and whatnot, we don't necessarily have a lot of time off. So when quarantine hit and I have a new daughter, and I get to spend time with her and I get to stay at home, I definitely took advantage of that, right? I stopped doing everything, stopped lifting, let my body heal. I was doing yoga, just little maintenance stuff, and saw my body just shrink. Literally lost everything that I put on, my mass, my size, all that just kind of deflated almost, and find myself waking up 161, 160. Weight class is 163. So, okay, I'm moving to Virginia, get a new place, new home. Quarantine's still in effect, and I find myself again. I'm still now I'm like 159, 160, right? Smallest that I've ever been since college. I wrestled 157. Yeah. So then get on the phone. The rumblings are happening. Oh, we're gonna do this 150. All right, I could do that, right? Not a problem. And then as I'm making the descent, kind of getting back into the things, wrestling and stuff, yeah, it was just like I made that weight so easy. And I'm at this time now. Do I decide to try and bulk up, or do I go down? And I think that for me to try and bulk up while continuing to wrestle and go to practices, it's going to be definitely tougher than it would for me to watch what I'm eating, right? Going to practice, not being sore from having to lift and trying to get back up. So it's definitely been a change for me, and but I think it's going to be worth it. So, I know that was a little longer, but it made me think really, because Ashnault just saying, I'm scared to wrestle 74. I just had to put that out there for the people at home and Ashnault. So.
It's interesting, right? I thought about that too, and I kind of forgot about the Alliance. And I mean, you were. Was it Sabalov in the finals? You're pushing Sabalov. What did you learn wrestling those big dudes?
Right. So, and it's funny because that was the day we did day before 2 kilos, and I mean
day before 2 kilos.
Yeah, I was great, and it was a 2-day tournament. So we wrestled the first, day, get to the finals. So yeah, who knows how much everyone else weighed, but I mean I was great. I didn't mind at all. But I felt great. I feel like I was in the match. I definitely controlled it. Got laced at the end, but definitely could wrestle with those guys. And I'm training with Jordan every day, so
yeah,
it's not like I wasn't feeling what the best in the world gonna feel like. And then I wrestled Sabalov, who is a world champ, at 70, world finalist with JB. So yeah, I definitely felt like I could wrestle and move with those guys for sure.
Similar to James Bryce, like this year's his total. Change your plans. Your plan was either, wrestle at the Olympic trials and make the team or not. If you make it, go wrestle at the Olympics. If not, go into MMA. Now you're kind of 1 foot in MMA, 1 foot of wrestling as you've been taking some of these pro wrestling matches. How has this year changed your approach? And, is it like long term? What does this mean for you?
Yeah. So, like I've said a couple times, I don't think trying to juggle both of them at the same time is technically the best thing that you want to do, right? There's a lot of killers in the cage, and we got time to make up in there, and then there's killers on the mat where you can't be, messing around too often and not training wrestling specifically, right? Like you're always training grappling, wrestling, but it's different when you're at this high of a level. So for me, once quarantine hit and it looked like the wrestling world was shutting off, like big time at first, especially like world stuff, right? Like world level, you can't travel out of the country, and then the MMA world was like just on, like it was turned on completely, like the gyms that I was training at, we were still training and everything. So then I was like, all right, man, well, like maybe this is God's doing to say like, let's get it, let's just start doing MMA now. And then, of course, then these money matches started happening, these pro matches, and that's like, for me, if wrestling would continue to do these types of things, and if we've had these options to make money doing matches, and rather than just like a couple tournaments a year, I mean, I think a lot of us would never leave wrestling. We wouldn't even think about fighting because there's just more opportunity. And so then once this started happening, I'm like, well, I got to get in there. I got to, talk my crap on Twitter and get matches and have fun while doing that. And then, of course, money's always nice when that comes around as well. So as of right now, I'm kind of tiptoeing both ways. But, eventually we're going to have to come to the decision based on the scheduling of things. And, because you really can't do both. I mean, what, you're going to not train and then go wrestle James Green? Like, good luck doing that. Or what, you're not going to train and then go get in a cage fight? Be careful doing that, too. So it's been fun, though, to dabble in both.
Well, I can't wait to find out, what the long term is, and I'm super excited. 65 kilo Olympic trials. Maybe we'll see you guys competing there as well. Last question. I'm sure we've been asking everybody this. I'm sure you're thinking you're going to be in the finals. Who's coming out of the top side, guys? James, what do you think?
What's Shannon Sharp say? Bajrang, Lugo, Ashnault or Henderson. It don't matter. James Green in the finals. That's all that matters.
All right, what do you think, Bryce?
Money Meredith, right? Even though we got a little Misfit Meredith going on now too, we got to keep that going. I mean, he already took a good little quote, right? But I mean, if you're gonna put some money on it, I'd obviously put on Bajrang. He's pretty good at winning. But like, who cares about the top, right? We got some giants to slay down here in the bottom, and ultimately, I don't know. I think there's going to be some shows to be put on, especially in this 8-man quick turnaround matches. That's not always the easiest after you get out of a dogfight, So you have to take care of yourself for sure.
Shows are going to be put on, no doubt. Guys, thank you for being here. Man, super excited to see the match tomorrow, and man, can't wait for it. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
All right, so that was our last set of competitors. Man, 4 incredible quarterfinal matches, and that's all leading up to the semis and the finals. We've got women's matches that are going to be incredible, 2 catchweight matches we wouldn't be seeing if not for this crazy pandemic year. I cannot wait for the action to get going tomorrow, and I'm David Bray. For all these competitors, thank you so much for tuning into the press conference. We will see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. It all goes down live on FloWrestling.